everybody, it's Miss Marie, and today for our paint along day we are going to be making a delicious strawberry cupcake. Oh my gosh, isn't that so much fun on a cold day? Can you imagine having a delicious cupcake with maybe a cup of hot cocoa or some milk? And that cupcake looks like it's sitting in a really fun cupcake shop or bakery. It's got sprinkles on it, and it looks like it's kind of my favorite, which would be like a yellow cupcake with some kind of strawberry frosting or any kind of frosting really. All right, so join me as we paint along a cupcake. Hopefully you picked up a kit from the library with all the paints that you're going to be needing and a canvas and some brushes, and I will show you how to do it. Okay, so from your kit that you picked up at the library, you should have a canvas. This one is 8 by 10. A cutout of the cupcake, some nice paints. You can see we have like a pinkish color, a brownish color, yellow, 2 of the blues because we're going to need a lot of that, and some white. And you should also have a paintbrush and a sponge tip applicator. From your own house, you're going to probably need some newspaper to cover your workspace, and some water to rinse your brushes, a paper towel to dry your brushes, a pencil, and if you have one, a ruler. Okay, now got a little water on there. My canvas, the plastic is already coming off, but if it's not coming off, you can turn it over and cut on the back to cut a little hole in the canvas and then pull that off. You don't want to do it on the front because then you might scratch your canvas. That won't look so great. So you've got that. Now, the canvas that we have, the picture that we're making, has sort of like a background to it. So what I'm going to do is measure from the bottom about 2.5 inches or so. If you don't have a ruler, that's okay. You can also use your cupcake as a guideline. You can put your cupcake down, and you don't want to put the background up here because then it looks like the cupcake is sitting above the line in the background. So you want to make the line somewhere below the cupcake. So let's see, measure about 2.5 inches up from the bottom. And then I'm going to go across and make that line. It doesn't have to be perfect. Like I said, you could do it with a ruler or a piece of paper. And you're going to make it really light because later on we're going to paint over that, so you don't want to see it. Okay, that'll be perfect. Okay, hold it up there so you can see. And the cupcake will sit somewhere there, so it'll be sort of in the middle of the foreground and the background. It'll look like it's sitting on a shelf or something, or table. Okay. I almost forgot. We're gonna need a paper plate too to use as a palette to mix our paints on. A palette is something that an artist uses to mix the colors before they put them onto the canvas. Okay, so for the background of our painting, we're going to use blue and white. So I'm going to put some blue and white on my canvas, on my palette. Sorry, that's what I meant to say. I'm going to be pretty generous with it because we're going to need a lot. I'm going to pour some out. And next to it, I'm going to pour some of this white. What I'm going to do is I'm going to double load my brush, meaning get some white and some blue on there. I'm not going to mix them together on here. And on the top part, so the higher part, the bigger part, I'm going to just start swirling it around like this. And I'm not going to make it all the same color. Some parts will be more white, some parts will be more blue. And I'm just going to fill this whole background with sort of swirly blue and white paint. Only up to that line. When we get up to that line, we're going to do something different. All right, so you can go ahead and do that. And if it helps and you want to use something bigger, you can use your sponge tip. Let me see how my sponge tip is here. Let's see if this works better. Like I said, see, a little bit of blue, a little bit of white. Not perfect, not blending, over blending it, because I don't want it to all be the same color. I want it to be different colors of blue, some darker, some lighter. I'm swirling it just to give it sort of a pattern. It's okay if you go a little bit over the line because we're going to come back in later and fix that. See, it's not all one color. You can definitely see darker areas, lighter areas. We didn't over blend it. Okay, so that's that part. Now for this part down here, the smaller part, we're going to do the same thing. Some white and some blue. Here, let me clean off my brush so that I can get some white out without getting any more blue in there, because I'm going to need that white later. Let's get some more white out. And again, you can do either your paintbrush or your sponge. We're going to go back and forth. So one part we went swirly and one part we went just back and forth. Right up to and maybe a little bit over that line that we drew. So now we have some lines going this way and then the swirly ones on the top. So more white in here. Just to make sure it looks different from the top. Okay, so before we let it dry all the way, we're going to put some more white onto our plate. Oops, you can see that when we're back. Some more white onto our plate. We're gonna use our finger, or if you really don't like to use your finger, you can use your paintbrush. And we're gonna dip it in the white. And then we're gonna make little circles, just small circles, sort of all over this background part, not the part that we did straight across, the part that we did swirly, the bigger part, like this. We're gonna kind of blur them in a little bit, maybe make it a little bit lighter. I'm just gonna do that all over. Okay, now we're gonna go in and lightly sketch our cupcake. I'm gonna put the cupcake so that it's down into the parts where it's straight across. Make sure everything's dry first before you do any of that, but let's go down here and let's very lightly trace the cupcake shape. What I'm doing is just very lightly going around the shape of the cupcake. And then I'm going to show you how to do where the frosting goes. Okay, so you can see that I did a very light here. Let me make sure I get that on there. This side here too. Okay, so that's nicely lightly sketched. Now how am I going to get this part though? See this part? I can use a scissor, and now I can cut along this line and cut off the cupcake holder so it's just the frosting shape. And then I can put this back where it fits and go along here and trace the frosting. All right, so that I'll know where to end my cupcake holder from the cupcake and the frosting. Okay, can everybody see that? There's my line. Cupcake colder part, and then the frosting is up in here. All right, it's pretty light, but you'll see it better when I start to paint it. Now the cupcake liner on the bottom is yellow with white. So first I'm going to scoop out some white. I've gotten some fresh water and I clean my brushes really well because I didn't want to get any blue in there. Let's get some white out. And some yellow out. So I don't get it out myself. Okay. So now I'm going to do what I did before. I'm going to kind of double load the brush, have a little bit of yellow, a little bit of white. And I'm going to just kind of outline this cupcake in yellow and white. If you want to go a little darker on the yellow, that's okay. Just to get those lines in there. And then I'm going to keep going with the lines, sort of curved from side to side. If you're having a hard time here on this side, you can also go start that off too. Just kind of outlining it with the yellow, and then we'll come back in and we'll make the lines go this way. All right, so now we're going to mix yellow and white. It's sort of swooping, curving lines. We're going to want it to be a little bit heavier so that that blue doesn't show through. Make sure you get plenty of white in there too, because it helps to cover it. We can go back too if we have to. If too much that blue is coming through. And again, we can go right up to that frosting line. And we're going to fix that later with some white to outline the frosting, so don't worry about that. Just get right up to the line. We'll cover as best we can. So let's let that dry for a little while, and then we're going to come back in and maybe do a second coat if we're not happy with our coverage, okay? So, just going to spread it in. I want my swooping lines back, so I'm going to come back over and then I'll just fix it at the end with another darker layer. Okay, so let that dry and we'll come back. Okay, now that my yellow base of the cupcake has dried, I'm going to come back in with some white and outline where the frosting is going to go. I know the frosting is pink, but mostly I would like to just outline down in here and just kind of do little swirlings up, just to define where it's going to begin and end. Let's see. Oh, and I got myself a new plate so that it didn't have any blue on there or any of the other colors, because we're going to be going into the finish up here. Going to be finishing up, blending in, outlining our frosting, then adding the colors to our frosting, and then at the end we can add some sprinkles if we like. It's okay how much we get on there. It's fine because we want to just outline it and make sure that the blue doesn't come through. Put our frosting shape in there. We can kind of go back in. Now we can start to blend the pink and the white to get
outline of the shape.
To get the colors that we want. We don't want to blend them perfectly. We just want to have different shades of this pink. And you can make this darker or lighter. Again, I like using these sort of swirling strokes with my paintbrush. I'm gonna let that dry, and I'm gonna get some brown and finish this cupcake. And we're gonna add sprinkles and we're done. Okay, so now we're gonna be ready to make the lines and to outline the cupcake liner here, cupcake holder, whatever you wanna call it. So I've mixed some brown and yellow next to each other on the palette, and then I'm going to turn my brush sideways so it's a little bit skinnier. Just come down really light and make some lines. They don't have to be perfect. Just gonna bring those lines down so it looks like the lines of a cupcake liner. And if they think they're coming out too dark, you can add more yellow. Not dark enough, you can add more brown. Like that. Okay, so now we are ready to add the sprinkles. We have some nice colors here that are going to stand out against the pink. We have some white left, we have some blue, some yellow, and some brown. And I'm going to use the tip of my paintbrush, the opposite side, so not the brush side, the tip of it. And I'm going to dip it in there and use that to make tiny little dashes. You could also use a toothpick if you'd like. I'm going to just go ahead and do that with this. I'm going to add some brown sprinkles. This brown's a little thin. There. And then the sprinkles are going to go in all different directions because they don't always lay in one direction, right? They're tiny, and when you drop them on, they go whatever way they want. All right, here we go. You can see all those sprinkles. Oh, that looks delicious. All right, well, I hope you had fun today painting a yummy cupcake, and I will see you soon.